You will come back, my friends. Skirt.
You know it's annoying when you have to do the same video twice because you lost your original audio 2 months ago. Filmed this during the height of stuff when it was gonna be extra juicy to release it, but you know, we live and we learn. So, as you guys probably know, I did not care for Tron Ares. It was not a film that I gave a fuck about. It's still a film I don't give a fuck about. But, again, you live, you learn, you laugh, you cry, you move on. So, I know a lot of people had their whole statements of, oh, but it did complete the whole stuff about the legacy of Tron. Yes, Jared Leto's character of Ares was Tron because, as you see in Tron Uprising, the title of Tron is able to transfer from program to program if you have the identity disk. It is a continuation because it also talks about Tron Legacy, which ties into Tron Uprising and the original Tron, as well as the video games that talk about Clue's Uprising. Yes, it's still Tron because it still addresses all the bigger points about what us are trying to look into for what we look into the surface of stuff for this and a third thing. And I hear all of those different connotations, all these different things here and there from other video essayists, other reviewers and whatnot. And yet, here is the thing about what I don't care for, despite the fact that in the middle of recording this, I'm watching a video about the original script that was going to be for the third Tron film that we did not get. It just... Tron Ares doesn't feel like Tron in any sense of the word, in any stretch of the imagination. By far. It feels like a mistake that was made to just capitalize on the worst things rather than accentuate the best parts of a franchise that deserved more love and attention. And the reason I state this isn't because I want to openly hate Disney. I think that's for other reasons that many people may or may not know. No, it's just, if you really look at how we have Ares and what the overall message is in the climate where people are automatically still against AI and the whole ideology about having that artificial intelligence become real, despite how they kept trying to push it in the narrative of, oh, these codes that we give life to are becoming real, so therefore we have to It doesn't sit well in the climate we have today, where it's poor timing. If we had it in a different era for a different message for people trying to do stuff in a different connotation, maybe. But that's where the big failing comes from. So, the question then becomes, how do you fix it? I think the best way to put it is where instead of trying to use a new character base from a new program, from an old villain that was a legacy build at best, we need to do something completely different. We need to capitalize on ISOs. The ISOs, in and of itself, were a much better constructed mystery in the lore of Tron because they just happened to appear. Maybe from a different intelligence, maybe from a different canyon, I don't know. But it was better well suited to build off of that premise on one spectrum. On another one, maybe bring in Beck. With Beck introduced into the continuity, we have a lot more of a bigger world to explore, if you would. Like, let's say Sam and Cora were to eventually go back to the grid. Maybe there's some news about Flint not really being dead. Maybe he's merged with a huger consciousness within the digital scape that created the grid. Maybe Beck is holding on to the only code that can bring back Flint, who is both bio and digital now at this point in time. You build off on that whole thing to then create a brand new legacy, since Resler, I think it's Resler, ends up coming back as Tron when he is submerged into the digital sea. He can then come back as his own person and then allow Beck, who may have died, may not have died, become the new Tron as the new legacy, because he's been given the identity disc of Tron to become this new overarching hero. You have the building blocks for something from already established canon, but I don't think people that understand that whole thing get why certain fans, even though they're niche, even though they're not going to be the most verbose of individuals, were upset with the film in general. Having Ares be this brand new sentient creature from an AI perspective does not give way to anything positive for what we have. It brings forth something of a diminishing value of what we have wanted in media, especially with AI taking away a lot of jobs from artists, whether it's from voice acting, acting from just stage or physical, and even just from the musical standpoint, and from the pen and paper variety. So why would we champion this? And I know people are just like, oh, but the people that are so mad are because, well, they had a girl boss in the movie. We had no fucking care about the CEO of Encom. That was never the fucking issue. You could have a female lead that runs the company, but she wasn't the problem. Jared Leto's character of an artificial intelligence from Evan Peters to then become our hero because it's tonally confused about trying to understand the market that it's trying to appeal to doesn't get why. Especially since Tron was never about bringing forth digital people to life. It was about understanding the connectivity of what we as people have done to the digital scape and uncovering the mysteries of stuff, whether it's from biological life that we've explored in other movies, or maybe there's a brand new life form in the digital scape that's more than just data. We have those building blocks already, so why did Disney screw the pooch? Well, again, there is a video online on YouTube in general talking about the scrapped third script that was supposed to be the third film of this entire overarching story. It was beautiful, it was well constructed. I've seen parts of the video, and I will put it in the description below for those that are really interested in finding out what we did not have that was left on the cutting room floor. But overall, this was just not a good film and needed to be salvaged the proper way. But people that are angry about it for the wrong reasons, as I'm looking over at Gesture Bell especially, end up missing the importance about why fans were so upset. And frankly, if they were to dig deeper to uncover better stuff going into the fray, I don't know, maybe we'd have a better film. But, you know, that's just me talking about the pitch, but also me airing out some grievances I have with what we've had already. I don't normally do this because, frankly, being angry doesn't really do much. It makes yourself ill. It makes other people feel like they have control over you. It becomes a spiral effect to where no one really wins if you're just yelling, screaming, being mad, being upset. All the stuff of a negative scape that just creates more of a conflict that never gets a real solution. So, on that note, we're going to gear up for the third and final one for January of The Pitch, where honestly, I'm kind of hoping you guys love that one, because this whole middle branch thing, it's like, we're in the way I've made the show, but also teetering away from how I've made the show in a weird quasi-effect that I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this kind of episode ever again. It just feels weird. It makes me feel ick. Like, ugh.
Boom, you feel it when I walk in the room. The shiver up your spine as I loom. The string puller like harps that's keeping y'all in tune.